history of AsiaTEFL has only been through its annual conferences and through its publications in the Journal of AsiaTEFL and through the AsiaTEFL book series. This webinar series will provide greater visibility all the year round to AsiaTEFL.
AsiaTEFL webinar series is a realization of aspiration to meeting together for academic development and promoting friendship despite this pandemic. Professor Ganakumaran Subramaniam has initiated this project, and he has put lots of efforts on this. His devotion should be appreciated. I hope that everyone participating in webinar series will get engaged and further stimulated in each webinar.
A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are right now in the world. And today I would like to say I'm very glad that the AsiaTEFL webinar series is back again this year. And it's such a great pleasure for me to be here and have this opportunity to welcome all of you to our first webinar today. My name's Kitipat Turisavirath, one of the committee members of AsiaTEFL Webinar Series 2022 project, and I will be with you throughout the program as the moderator. And I hope you enjoyed watching our short clip video on AsiaTEFL Professional Network Webinar Series at the beginning. And I believe that we will keep supporting our professional community together. For your information, AsiaTEFL Webinar Series 2022 project will take place every 2 months on the last Saturday of the month when it is held, which means we will have 5 webinars in total this year. In March, which is happening now, and again in May, July, September, and November. And also, I am very happy to let you know that there are more than 900 people from about 33 countries around the world who registered their interest in attending this webinar with us. And there is a surge participation from the Philippines, followed by Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, and others. We are very proud to be part of this diverse and vibrant ELT community that welcomes everyone. Besides, I would like to address a very important issue for everyone here. We are delighted to tell you that we will provide a free certificate for everyone who is attending this webinar today. Therefore, you will need to complete the form, but not to worry, we will give more information about it. So please stay tuned and wait until the end of the webinar. Right now, let's enjoy our webinar first. Okay, and once again, for those who haven't registered for the webinar, you can scan the QR code displayed on the screen right now to complete your registration, or you can click the link that will be sent in the Zoom chat box right now. Thank you. And all right, everyone, for today's topic, the topic is innovations in English language testing and assessment. We have 3 invited speakers who are experts in their own fields and passionate about sharing their expertise and experience with innovations in testing and assessment in different angles. But before we meet our invited speakers, I would like to invite Professor Ravindra Gargesh, the president of AsiaTEFL, to deliver the official welcoming speech. Please welcome our president, Professor Gargesh.
Please turn on your microphone, please, Dr. Gagesh.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay. Namaste, annyeonghaseyo, assalamu alaikum, zdravstvuyte, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's a matter of great pleasure to welcome you all on this occasion of the first webinar. The webinar series, as you know, began last year, and it was the brainchild of our dear colleague, Vice President Professor Gana Kumaran Subramaniam. But before he could actually implement it, we lost him, unfortunately. A great loss. But we're very happy that Professor Prakash Sitikul, he took it up. He took up the challenge. And he, with his colleagues, set up the first webinar series last year, which was very successful. It was so successful that we want to continue with the webinar series and make it more intensive and more extensive as we proceed. And you are here from all over the world almost. So very warm welcome to all of you. Depending upon your climate, we have a very windy and a cool and a wet day, but a pleasant day, very pleasant. So wish you all have a very pleasant time. And during this webinar, we have the speakers, Professor Yang Shik Lee. Yang Shik Lee has been a member of AsiaTEFL right from the very beginning. He has made immense contributions.
Professor Gagesh, please turn on your microphone.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
I don't know why it goes off. Anyway, okay. So very warm welcome to all of you to this first webinar. And this is a continuation of the last year's webinar series, which was begun by Professor Gana Kumaran Subramaniam. We lost him before the series could take off, but we have a very efficient person, Professor Prakash Sitikul. He and his team have done a wonderful job by organizing a very successful 5 webinar series last year. So we continue with the webinar series, and we hope that it will be more intensive and extensive as we proceed. And I think you will find all these deliberations very stimulating and very exciting and innovative and also interactive. And a very warm welcome to all of you. I particularly see Professor Yang Shik Lee, our friend. He has been a member of AsiaTEFL right from the beginning, Yang Shik Lee. Wonderful. It's such a pleasure to see you. I can't see Sandesha Rayappa, our colleague from Delhi. She is very active and she's part of the publicity team and a very young scholar and a very promising scholar. I do wish to hear her. And Mr. Jin Ho Kim, also very warm welcome to you. Warm welcome to all the 3 speakers who will be speaking on English language in relation to testing and assessment. So let us see what are the innovations that they talk about. And I would not like to stand between you and the speakers. Once again, I would like to welcome you very warmly to this webinar series. Please keep coming, invite more people, join more people, so that the more we are, the better it is. More understanding at the Asia level, more understanding at the international level, not only academic understanding, but understanding of each other, spread of love, spread of affection, spread of intellectual debate, and through the English medium. A very warm welcome to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Gagesh, for your warm welcome speech for the virtual event today. And I've got a few announcements before we continue, since there are more participants joining us today. So once again, a gentle reminder to those who haven't registered for this webinar, please do so, because this would be very useful to us as part of our database purposes. Yeah, so it would be appreciated if you can sign in using the link or scan the QR code shown on the screen right now. Regarding your questions for our speakers today, during the session, please send your questions to Mentimeter. Please scan the QR code on the screen and you will be given the link to post your questions on Mentimeter as well. We will select your questions and have our speakers answer them during the Q&A time at the end. Now, please let me inform you of the format of the webinar. Our webinar has only one round, and each speaker will be given 30 minutes to give the presentation. After our 3 speakers have completed their presentations, there will be a Q&A time for 15 minutes. All right. Without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, Professor Dr. Lee Yong-Chik from Hannam University in Korea. At Hannam, he was formerly Dean of College of Education, and he was a Fulbright visiting scholar for Department of Applied Linguistics in TSL at UCLA, and also he was president of Korea Association of Teachers of English. Plus, he was involved in founding AsiaTEFL in 2003 and has been executive director of AsiaTEFL since then. Professor Dr. Lee Yong-Chik will be sharing with us on the topic of English speaking tests, test methods, and interactions. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kitty Pat, Chuti Chai Virat. And I also thank you, President Professor Ravindra Agesh and Professor Kilyong Lee and the Vice President Prakasit Sati Tikul for providing privilege as well as pleasure for me make a webinar presentation. Okay, let me. Okay, let me start. My project topic is English speaking ability test method and interactions. Okay, and then oh my God. I like categorize 3 types of the speaking tests. First one is human conduct and scored by humans. And second one, machine conduct. I mean, English speaking test is done through computer and the humans scores the test. And the third one is machine conduct and machine score. Computer, the speaking test is done through computer and the computer scores the test result. Okay. Oh my God. Let me look at the first type, human conduct and human scoring. And for example, OPI, oral proficiency interview. And it is administered by ACTFL, American Council on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. And IELTS, International IELTS Speaking Test, International English Language Testing System, which is administered by British Council in connection with the Cambridge Assessment English. The third one is Cambridge Assessment English, which has CAT, PET, FCE, CAE, CPE. Okay. Cambridge Assessment English system has 5 levels of speaking test. First one is from the low level, wastage level user, key English test, CAT, okay, which is level of the Common European Framework A2, CEFR A2, and the first level user, that's PET, Preliminary English Test, Common European CEFR B1. For independent users of English, first certificate in English, FCE, which is Common European Framework CEFR B2. And for competent users of English, that's certificate in advanced English, CAE, which is Common European Framework Reference, C1, good news, Certificate of Proficiency in English, CPE, which is the level of C2 level of CEFR. Okay. And then computer conduct and human scores, which is called SOPI, Simulated Oral Proficiency Interview, or COPI, Computerized Oral Proficiency Interview. The example of this type of speaking test is TEP speaking test, test of English proficiency developed by Seoul National University. Another one is typical IB speaking. Okay, let's look at the TOEFL IB. Oh my. Okay, no problem now. TOEFL IBT speaking, it takes 70 minutes and composed of 4 tasks that resemble real life situation. And the test was presented on the computer, and the speaking test result is recorded on the computer. And the result was scored by a combination of automated AI scoring and multiple highly trained human raters in order to offer a complete and accurate picture of the test taker's ability and minimize the rater bias that can occur with face-to-face interviews and ensure consistency and the highest quality. This speaking test has a range of score range of 0 to 30 with 5 levels: advanced, high intermediate, low intermediate, basic, and below basic. Oh no, it's difficult to move to the. Okay. Oh. And another type is the machine conduct and machine scoring. The typical example of this speaking test, the Bosant, which was called formerly PhonePass. This speaking test is a 15-minute test of spoken English, and the purpose is to screen job candidates and students quickly. And using a computer or smartphone, candidates respond to prompts which measure comprehension, vocabulary, and pronunciation. This test has 5 sections: reading aloud, repeating sentences, naming opposite words, and providing short answers, giving open responses. So many people, many stakeholders, worried about this validity. However, what research is shown that the scores of Bosant are calculated by a computerized algorithm and reported back to the test. Oh my God. Test take within minutes. Research on Bosant has supported the constructability of its repetition and task, not just for the test taker's phonologic ability, but also for discourse and overall oral production ability. This 15-minute test correlates with OPI at 0.75, which is a high degree of correspondence between the machine-scored Bosant and human-scored speaking test. And another machine conduct, machine scoring speaking test is PTE, Pearson Test of English Academic. It has 3 parts. Part 1, speaking and writing. Part 2, reading, and part 3, listening. And the part 1 has 8 components: personal instruction, read aloud, repeat sentence, describe image, retell lecture, answer short question, summarize written text, essay. So speaking test, so part 1 has the production ability test. So that is speaking and writing. It may be difficult to see my presentation file there. So I like, okay. Automated scoring gives more analytic, objective result than humans do. Unlike human judgment, which is prone to be influenced by a variety of factors, an automated scoring system is impartial. This means that system is not distracted by language irrelevant factors such as a test taker's appearance, personality, or body language, as can happen in spoken interview test. Such impartiality means the test taker can be confident that they are being judged solely on their language performance, and stakeholders can be confident that the test taker's scores are generalizable. Also, automated scoring allows individual features of language sample, spoken or written, to be analyzed independently, so that weakness in an area of language does not affect scoring of other areas. So let me summarize computer-based testing. There is increasing use in second language testing, and it requires technology to capture speech at a reasonable quality. And also it requires storage of speech data for scoring. No technical approaches are using free software such as Audacity to capture speech. You can download software program Audacity and PowerPoint to present tasks. High technical approach require, for example, Pearson test of English, as shown just before. Academic, computer-based delivery plus automated scoring of speech. Another example is computer adaptive testing, CAT, item selected which best match candidate's ability. So for CAT, test takers can take the different test items according to their levels. Advantages are efficient. So since computer tested many test candidates, test takers can test many at the same time. Potential to be on demand. Delivery is standardized, no interference from interlocutor variables. Face validity, perceived as modern and up-to-date. Captured speech can be utilized later for research and training. So this CBT, computer-based testing, is good for practicality and reliability. But on the other hand, it has these advantages. Technology constrained test types and difficult to have dialogic interaction. And the computer familiarity has an effect for the test takers. And tasks are often not genuine for context. Can be very expensive because it needs computers, microphone, noise cancelling headphones. So issues are validity, authenticity, watchback, and practicality. And if we look at the interactive speaking, which is interview or role play, we can consider three types of interaction. The first one is examiner and candidate. Examiners ask the question and candidates answer the questions. This kind of interaction, an example of this kind of interaction is AsiaTEFL OPI, oral profile interview, which is face-to-face. Really hard for me to see the screen. So, okay, it takes the form of one-to-one interaction between a test take and interpreter or examiner. Criticism was raised OPI force data into a closed system because examiners or interlocutors ask the question and test takers only answer the question. So test takers are unable to negotiate a social world because interviewer is endowed with the full social control and effect of the interview on the test takers. If the interview is very kind, then test taker can get the is likely to get the test takers get the high scores. But interview is very not kind, then the result is still not good. You know? The interviewer typically speaks far more than the test taker. So another type of interaction is this type. Candidates ask the question and examiner answer the question. For example, IELTS speaking test use this kind of interaction. Candidate cue card. To candidates, this card is given. Universe, for example, universe clubs and association. You have just arrived at a new university. It is orientation week, and you want to know about the different clubs and association. You can join. Your examiner is student union representative. So ask the candidates, ask the examiner about types of clubs, meeting time, and event, and cost. Okay. Then examiner has this card, this note. So, for example, okay. So based on candidates ask a question, and based on this note, examiner answer the question. Okay. The third type of interaction is there are two candidates, and examiner promotes communication between the two candidates to maintain more objective speaking test. Interlocutor is only concerned with promoting the communication, candidate 1 and candidate 2, and assessor is watching them and assess them, okay, without getting involved. So, for example, key English speaking test is looks like this. Candidate B, here is some information about cinema and the film. Don't show it to A. Candidate A, you don't know anything about this cinema, so you want to ask B some question. Now, A, ask B your question and about cinema, about film, and B, you understand. This is what the examiner says to both candidates. And the candidate A has this card, okay? So based on this card, answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the question. And candidate B, based on this card, and candidate A asks the question based on this card, and candidate B answer the question, okay, based on this card. For example, and what's the name of cinema? And then candidate B answers, oh, it's Canon Cinema. Okay. And what's the film? And this Home Alone 2. And what time? And how much is? For example, here is it. And then based on this card, candidate B answers. Then they change the role. Candidate A has this card, and then candidate B has this card. Candidate B asks the question, and candidate A answer the question. So candidate A, where is the party? Oh, it's in the Grand Hotel. And then whose party it is? Is it? And then, oh, it's Peter's party. Why does he have a party? Because he has passed his exam. This kind of. And then another paired speaking test is FC. birth certificate in English, which is Common European Form of Reference B2. The question is, examiner asked candidate A this question: how important is it to help people in this situation? Showing these photographs, these pictures, and that interlocutor asked, showing task 1, and I'd like to compare the photographs and say how important it is to help people in this situation. And the candidate A, look at these pictures and answers. And then interlocutor candidate B, do you find it easy to ask for help when you have a problem? Why not? Then candidate B answers. Then moving on to the second question. What are the people enjoying about spending time in these gardens? So interlocutor show these two pictures. Candidate B, here are your photographs. They show people spending time in different gardens. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say what you think the people are enjoying about spending time in these gardens. So candidate B, look at photos and answers. Then interlocutor candidate A, which gardens would you prefer to spend time in and why? Okay, candidate A answers question. So we can think of the principles for this type of paired speaking test. First one is information gap. In communication between the two test takers, a situation where information is known by one of them. Then in communication language testing, there must be an information gap between the test takers in order to promote communication between them. Another principle is task-based. How success on the task is assessed, rather than grammatical accuracy, okay, or something like that. So this kind of paired tasking is seems to be very innovative in some contexts, but old news in others. Now used across full range of Cambridge main suit speaking exam. As you see before, CAT, PET, FC, CA, CP usually involves interlocutor assessor and candidate A, candidate B. However, in order to maintain more more accurate assessment, you can have one more assessor. Advantage, increase authenticity and reduces the need for examiner involvement. And it provides opportunity for great variety of tasks, such as role plays, and broadens the speaking construct to include negotiation, meaning, accommodation, repair in the case of a communication breakdown. And it seems students like it. And then can assess twice as many students in the same time. This test, this kind of activity, interaction good for validity, watchback, authenticity, and practicality. Disadvantages are effect on pairing on performance. For example, higher ability candidate with low ability candidate. And then candidates who know each other well versus those who don't know well. Burden on the rater. Assessing two candidates at the same time is cognitively demanding So we can think of use of two assessors, such as Cambridge model. However, it has the logistical problem, such as money, because more money, and difficult managing dominant or passive candidates. What if there is an odd number of candidates? So issues are reliability and practicality. So we can think of the low stakes exam and the high stakes exam. Okay. Low stakes testing situation, paired speaking can work very well. However, it still presents logistical difficulties, but fewer than one-to-one interviews. For high stakes testing situations, more attention required for partner selection. Definitely, since this speaking test, higher stakes speaking test, determines candidates like critically, the two assess are necessary. Also, evidences are required to be sure students and other stakeholders. Okay. Okay. That's all. Thank you. Do I finish earlier than given time?
Yeah, you still have a few minutes if you want to say something, but if you have finished the presentation, it's okay. Yeah, I think you have provided us the basic principles for implementing the English speaking ability tests. And I think we've learned what can be the advantages and challenges when we as teachers or test writers or even test developers have to conduct or design the speaking or interaction tests for our learners in different contexts. And yeah, thank you very much, Professor, for your informative presentation today.
So what I did for my presentation is provide the bird's eye views on the current speaking test, okay?
All right, okay.
Not going into specific and details,
Okay, thank you very much once again, Professor. And this is just to remind you again, if you have any questions for our speakers today, please send us your questions on Mentimeter. You can scan the QR code on or use the link sent in the chat box to access Mentimeter. But if you have trouble accessing Mentimeter, you can make use of the chat room on Zoom to send any questions you may have. We will select your questions and have our participants and have our speakers, answer them during the Q&A time. Okay. Thank you, Professor. And could you please stop sharing your slides so that the technical team can take the floor after that?
One thing I'd like to mention is in passing is when I show my present file, I have some difficulties because my present I couldn't see it in the full, because the icon blocks the view of my present file. I don't know why. Technical problem. That's what. Okay. Anyway,
yeah. Okay. You stop sharing now. All right. All right, okay. So yeah, now let's move on to our next speaker, Assistant Professor Dr. Sandasha Rayapagabyal from India. And she works at JNU's Linguistics Empowerment Cell, and she specializes in the area of English language teaching, with a PhD focusing on syllabus design for communication skills. She aims to use her experience for running positive, focused, and energized classes. And for over a decade, she has gained experience in planning and developing curricula in both ESL and EFL scenarios. Assistant Professor Dr. Sandasha Rayapagabyal will be sharing with us on the topic of the language of the skies, aviation English. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming her. Over to you, Professor.
Namaste, Salam Alaikum, Swasti, and annyeonghaseyo. To everyone who's listening to me from all over Asia and maybe other parts of the world. Whatever time zones you're in, I really thank you for being here and being part of this particular webinar series. Thank you to Professor Gargesh for remembering me. I was there, I was listening, but I was not a co-host at that point in time, so I could not reply back. So I'm really excited to be here, and I thank AsiaTEFL for this wonderful opportunity. And Dr. Pragasit Sitikul, you have been emailing me and trying to reach out to me, so thank you so much. And thank you, Kitipat, for moderating this session. So let me share my screen. So, all right. So as Kitipata just now told you, the topic, the title of my particular talk is The Language of the Skies, Aviation English. Many of you might already be aware of it, but this is more for telling people who've been asking me, what exactly do you do when you're testing ATCs? ATCs are the air traffic controllers. So if I were to ask you the question that who do you think has your life in their hands? Generally, people would say pilots, right? Cabin crew, or people who are in the ground. But ATCs are the people who are actually the eyes of the pilots. So at least on the ground. So the objective of today's session, I plan to actually talk about, is there a language of the skies? Really, is there one? And then what exactly is it? What is aviation English? Then, is there a difference between aviation English and the plain English that you and I speak? I'll also be introducing a few words from the phraseology of aviation English. Are there issues and challenges for the air traffic controllers, that is the ATCs, and the aviators in learning the English language phraseology? And maybe I'll also share a few interesting facts from the world of aviation English. And the most important question, and something that I'm really wanting to get out of this entire session is there a role that we ELT professionals can play in the lives of air traffic controllers and aviators? So before I actually begin, attention everybody, you just now had a wonderful session with Professor Lee, and thank you, Professor Lee. So I thought I would begin mine with a particular assessment activity, all right? Because we are talking about assessment. So everyone, please place your pens or pencils down and listen to me carefully. All right. So I'm going to say a few words. A few of the words might be repeated, not a problem. Just listen to them carefully and do not note them down. The question will follow. All right. I think somebody is annotating over here. Okay. Yes. So you might have to remove the annotating rights of the others. Thank you so much. So now here we are. The words are Sierra, Alpha, November, Delta, Echo, Sierra, Hotel, Alpha, Juliet, November, University maybe? Yes? Okay, all right, here we go. So now there's a question, I don't know how many of you know this, but on the 5th of September, 1977, the space aircraft Voyager blasted off into space carrying with it a message from the then United Nations Secretary General, Kurt Waldheim, and the message was for people in outer space. Now, that message was written, and not only written, it was also spoken by the Secretary General in English language. And his message was, as the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of the 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe, seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, to be taught if we are fortunate. We know full well that our planet and all its inhabitants are but a small part of the immense universe that surrounds us, and it is with humility and hope that we take this step. This was actually not only in English language, in fact, it was also in other languages. But there is somewhere out there in space, the English language which is being circulated around. Now, whatever that I'll be talking about is from the manual Okay, and this is the overview of the contents that we have. So I would also like to tell you a little bit about the history of ICAO and how this aviation English developed. On the 1st of November 1944, 52 countries on the behest of United States and Britain met at Chicago, and that was known as the Chicago Convention on Civil Aviation. And there was the formation of the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is known as ICAO. And in 2008, ICAO published the Doc 9835 for insisting upon all civil aviation personnel, which includes pilots, communicators, air traffic controllers, ground control, and others, to undergo training and testing in aviation English language proficiency, known as also as AELP, to prove that they had minimum required proficiency in aviation specific English language to handle routine and unexpected situations arising in air traffic. Now, I'll just explain what does this mean, this unexpected situations. So before the 2008, before this document being formed, they were realizing that though English language was taken as the language of the skies, yes, there is a language of the skies, and English, you might be wondering, why English? Why not Hindi? Why not Korean? Why not Japanese? Why not French? So the reason was the Western world was where we had seen aviation kind of building up and a lot of inventions taking place. So, and the pilots initially, obviously the ones undergoing the training and all, they were speakers of the English language. So this is the reason why it just became natural that English would be taken up. And then it just became natural that everyone who would want to fly would also have to learn the language, or at least try to be able to communicate. But they found that there was a lot of miscommunication happening. So then they got together, as I mentioned, and then they decided on formulating a couple of rules and regulations so that the English language could be something that could be standardized as much as possible, which we now know as aviation English. So now I'm going to play a recording to give all of you an idea. Many of you might have a little bit of an idea, but just to give you a little bit of a better idea of what exactly curtails when an air traffic controller speaks to a pilot. And then I'll ask you a couple of questions, or at least what I can do is I could try to tell you a couple of points, and then maybe those points are something that you would have been also thinking about. So just 1 second, I'll have to stop sharing right now, because I have to share the other screen. Yes. So this is the sound that you'll be hearing now, all right? Could you please confirm, Kittipat, that you can hear the audio is clear?
We can hear you.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hear. Yeah.
And can you also see a video or just the audio?
We can see your screen as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Speedboat 144 established on runway 28.
Speedboat 144 to continue. Break getaway is 15, descend 3,500 feet and turn left now. Turn left heading 270.
Roger, down to 3,500 feet and left heading, say again, sir?
Left heading 270.
Roger, left heading 270, getaway is 15.
Flight level 150, 20 miles inbound, sample of your Lufthansa 525.
Lufthansa 525, Roger. Thank you. Turn left, proceed direct now to Sierra Sierra Bravo VOR. Speedboat 144, contact the tower now on 12, not tower on 118.10, bye-bye.
Colony Small 144, thank you for service, have a good night, bye-bye. Delhi Control, Thai 8152, maintain 10,000 feet.
Roger, Thai 8152, continue descent, flight level 80, turn right heading 300.
Turn right heading 300 and descend to 8,000 feet, Thai 155.
Delhi Radar, Lufthansa 525, sorry, can you say again the last message? Turn left, direct, which you are?
Lufthansa 525, turn left direct to Sierra Bravo VR.
Sure, Bravo, you are. Thank you.
Jetways 15, clear Alice runway 28, call established.
Roger, cleared ILS runway 28, report established. Jetways 15.
Thai 8152, do you have runway 29 in your scenery?
All right. So I hope you might have certain questions coming up in your mind, or you might have had some observations. So let me give all of you 5 seconds to think. And then, because right now I'm not able to interact with all of you because of the paucity of time, I will lay out a couple of observations, and they might match with yours. Or if you have some interesting observations, please feel free to comment in the chat box. All right. So you might have noticed, or you might have actually listened to the various pilots, who were speaking. In fact, you had one Thai pilot also speaking from Thai Airways. If you were listening carefully, you had somebody from Lufthansa. The various accents of the pilots, obviously, they are going to be different, but at least the phraseology that they were using was something that was standardized, which the air traffic controller would be able to understand, even if the accent was a little bit different. All right, the pronunciation. Apart from that, I would like all of you to know that the ATCs, I mean, how much ever they might be fluent in the language, it is not an easy job. It is quite stressful. This was actually a simulated one. If you actually go to the tower and you get an opportunity to listen to them, because the recordings are not available for the general public, it is completely with the permission of the aviation minister or somebody from the government that you would be able to get your hands on such a recording. So when you listen to it, though they try to be as calm as possible, you have to be quite brief, to the point, and get the message across effectively. And the reason being, there are so many pilots in the sky waiting to talk to the ATC. So there is no chit chat time for the ATC. In fact, I have spoken to ATCs who have told me that there are certain pilots that they kind of know that, okay, this is the same pilot. And sometimes pilots come over to meet the ATCs and they do become friends. But even though they are friends, they will not ask anything else over the airwave except what is required for their communication, official communication purpose. So now continuing on with the PowerPoint presentation. So the patterns of communication which are used by pilots and air traffic controllers or aeronautical station operators, aviation physiology and plain language are the two forms of communication used by pilots and ATCOs. The linguistic characteristics of standardized phraseology. First of all, you have a reduced vocabulary, around 400 words, and in which each word has a precise meaning, an exact meaning. There is no ambiguity in that. There are short sentences after deletion of function words, like you have determiners, auxiliary and link verbs, subject pronouns, and prepositions. You have sentences which are frequently containing normalizations. For example, you will say something like descend to flight level 280 or resume own navigation. Whereas in plain language, what you and I generally speak, we're conveying meanings that vary depending on our cultures, our context, and our expectations. For example, if a pilot in ATC begin to talk in plain language, then it would go something like this. Are you going to put me back on course? Or there is oil on the taxiway. Now, what is the difference between phraseology and natural language? And why does this happen? Why is this switch taking place? Phraseology generally happens when they are routine events, like the planes are landing or they're taking off, and they are in predictable emergencies, like something wherein suddenly there is another plane coming in. So they already have some terminology. There are certain protocols that they're following. And also when you have predictable non-routine events, like suddenly the weather will change. It was not predictable, but it was not something in the routine, but you do have a phraseology for that. Now, what is the natural language? In the natural language, you have unpredictable non-routine events. This is something which is completely not expected. Unpredictable emergencies, not at all expected. Something that was not there maybe in the book, in the manual. So this is the reason why they would actually automatically switch to natural language. So this is the reason why we can't say that, oh, just because you are good in this particular aviation English, that should be enough. Just knowing these 400 words will be enough. Understanding beyond and understanding the context and the culture, the double meaning, the ambiguity, all those things would matter. Now, question time, just to check that you people have been listening to me carefully from the beginning. I asked you, well, initially I did ask you to listen carefully, and I mentioned a few words, right? So I did repeat a few of them, but I'm going to give you a list of words. Tell me which is the word that was not mentioned by me. All right, I repeat, which is the word that I did not mention in the earlier list. The words are going to follow now. November, Sierra, Hotel, Romeo, Alpha, Delta. Okay, so the words are November, Sierra, Hotel, Romeo, Alpha, Delta. Oh my God, I can already see the answers coming up in the chat box. Excellent. You people have been very good listeners, because you're absolutely right. The answer is Romeo. I mentioned Juliet. I did not mention Romeo. All right. So all the winners out there, the ones who've mentioned over here, you are welcome whenever you come to my university, which is Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi. I will offer you tea with a snack, maybe samosa or pakoda, whatever that you like. So that is an offer that I'll always keep for you. Now, if you notice, and by now you would have guessed, the words that I had mentioned were actually from the ICAO phonetic alphabetic table. So these are the words, and here are the pronunciations. Now, as you can see, there is a underlining part over there in the word, in the pronunciation, alpha. Now, what does that mean? That means, where are the words getting stressed? Bravo, Charlie or Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, or Uniform. And by now you would have guessed it right, that when I was giving you the list of words, I by mistake did not mention uniform, and I mentioned university because I just blanked out for a second. So I apologize for that. But the actual one, the cow one, is uniform. Victor, Whiskey, X-ray, Yankee, and Zulu. All right. And as far as the numbers go, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Now, if all of you notice carefully, I mentioned the number 9 as niner and not 9. Now, this is aviation physiology. This is required because there should be no confusion between any other words. Can you guess what is the other word that a ATC or a pilot could misunderstand the word 9 for? If I say 9 quickly, it could be misunderstood as maybe fine. Yes. Okay. Yes. People are giving me words out here. Good. Yes. So such words where people have found that people have not been able to hear carefully. And the most important thing is, generally when pilots don't understand something, they do ask for a, read back, basically meaning like, please repeat yourself, and the vice versa. Even the ATCs would do that. But there can be times, there can be moments when you have so many pilots in the air waiting to talk to you that you might not be able to do that. And this is the reason why you have to be very careful. And such words that can be misunderstood are given some other, word or some other pronunciation. Okay. Also, if you can look at the word decimal, 100, and 1000. I'm trying to move my screen here. Hold on. All right. Now, another example, if you have an aircraft, Air China, for example, the call sign is Air China. It will be transmitted as Air China 238. All right. OAL 242, as you can see the aircraft, it will be called as Olympic 242. So the ATC would call out to the pilot of Air China. He would say Air China 238. Now, flight levels are transmitted as, for example, you will not say FL 180. No, that's not how you're going to do it. How it has to be transmitted is flight level 180, flight level 200. In fact, another interesting fact that I'll share with all of you is that if you ever get an opportunity to listen to the recordings of ATCs and pilots, whenever they are talking about descending from flight, let's say from 14,000, they will never say 14,000. It'll be 1 and 4,000. So they will actually distinguish it. All right. Now the diagnosis of a language competence. The diagnosis for a participant with low proficiency should be done based on areas of error density, prevalence, error gravity, range, and variety of structures. And the focus should comprise the following, which is the third person singular present tense, the negative sentences, the progressive aspect, the question inversion, and the passive form. And you have a word order, which is making grammatical sense, and you have nuances or alter meanings. Now, I'll give you these, if you look at the two boxes, box number A and box B, all right? If I'm saying maintain as much altitude as possible, and on the box B side, you can see that I'm giving you two options. Which option do you think is what A is saying? Maintain as much altitude as possible. Am I saying that, or am I meaning that if an aircraft is at 15,000 feet, then the ATC is trying to say, and see if you can stay even at 8 or 9,000 feet? Or am I trying to say if an aircraft is at 15,000 feet, then the ATC basically is trying to say that stay as close to 15,000 as you can manage. And the second option that you have in the A box is, again, if the ATC is saying maintain altitude as much as possible, again, the two options. So the correct answer, if you want to guess, I'll give you 5 seconds, everybody. Okay, so basically you can match A with B. All right, is A 1 or 2, or is B 1 or 2? All right, you can put it in the chat box if you like. Oh, okay, all right. We have a couple of answers coming in. Good, very good, very good. Yes, absolutely right. Thank you so much for your answers. Yes, the correct answer is A is 1 and B is 2. Absolutely right. So this is what happens, you know, when people are trying to get the message across, how important it is. Now, the purpose of aviation English language proficiency is to reduce the miscommunication as much as possible and to allow pilots and ATCs to recognize and solve potential miscommunication when it does arise. And it has arisen, unfortunately, for many human souls. We've had major, you know, if you look at the disasters in aviation, and a few of them have actually been because of the miscommunication and also because of the English language. People maybe did not understand or did not comprehend at that point in time, or people did not cross-check again. In fact, we in India had one in 1996, which is very famous out here, well known, that particular crash, which is the Chakri Dam crash, which happened quite close to Delhi. And the Tenerife one is one of the worst ones. But I'm going to talk about this particular one, which is the tragic air crash of Dan Air Flight 1008 on the 25th of April, 1980. Now, this disaster, it was caused by a single misheard word. Dan Air Flight 1008 departed from Manchester, England on the morning of April 25th, 1980, en route to Tenerife, one of Spain's Canary Islands. And at 1:21 p.m., the plane plowed into the side of the island's Mount La Esperanza, killing all the 146 people on board. Now, the cause of the disaster was a misinterpretation made by the Boeing 727 flight crew, and the plane was instructed by the control tower to take an unpublished and not officially approved and potentially dangerous holding pattern above Los Rodeos Airport. But the pilot also seems to have mistaken the word inbound for outbound in the instructions he received, flying in the opposite direction to which he was supposed to. And this one turn in the wrong direction took the plane through an area of exceptionally high ground. And due to the airport's lack of ground radar, the air traffic controllers were unable to tell the flight crew that the plane was off course. Now, please do try to understand that, yes, technology has come far, you know, from that particular point in time. But relying completely on technology is not enough. The human error is something that has to be really, really avoided as much as possible. All right. How much ever technology might be, if we have a human error, that will cost us lives. So, for example, I'll continue on with this particular situation. In response to First Officer's Perth's position report, Kamin said, Roger, the standard holding pattern overhead Foxtrot Papa is inbound, heading 150, turn to the left, call you back shortly. Here he made a tiny error that directly led to all the events which followed. When he said turn to the left, he actually meant to say turns to the left. So do you understand? You're talking about the turns, the number of turns to the left, describing the direction in which the crew were to fly around the holding pattern. But without the sir, this transmission sounded to the crew like an imperative, turn to the left. Now, Roger, Dan Air 1008, said Firth, inbound 150 to your left. Captain Whelan repeated, 150 left, yeah, said Firth. So this is what I mean. Just by missing a consonant sound or missing a particular, word, you know what disaster can take place. So holistic descriptors. So holistic refers to the communication person as a whole, in contrast to the descriptors in the rating scale, which instead examine individual, discrete features of language use. And the 5 descriptors are: A, proficient speakers shall communicate effectively in voice only, that is the telephone or radio telephone, and in face-to-face situations. B, proficient speakers shall communicate on common, concrete, and work-related topics with accuracy and clarity. C, proficient speakers shall use appropriate communicative strategies to exchange messages and to recognize and resolve misunderstandings. For example, you want to check something, to confirm or to clarify information in a general or work-related context. D, proficient speakers shall handle successfully and with relative ease the linguistic challenges presented by a complication or unexpected turn of events that occur within the context of a routine work situation or communicative task with which they are otherwise familiar. Proficient speakers shall use a dialect or accent which is intelligible to the aeronautical community. Now, if you look at the language proficiency skills, the knowledge and abilities which impact on the capacity of a given individual to communicate spontaneously, accurately, intelligibly, meaningfully, and appropriately in a given language. There are 6 individual skills identified in the ICAO rating scale, which are pronunciation, that is the phonological competence, structure, which is the grammatical competence, vocabulary, which is the lexical competence, fluency, comprehension, and interaction. So this is what we look at when we are testing the air traffic controllers or the pilots for the English language proficiency. Now,
I'm sorry to interrupt, Professor. You still have a few more minutes to finish. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kittipat. Thank you, Kittipat. I was about to ask you. All right. So just quickly going to this, I just want to quickly just mention that when you are testing them, there is a particular rating scale. And what is important is the operational 4. That means anything below 4 will not allow the pilots to fly and will not allow the ATCs to be at the towers. So we are looking at 4. And what does 4 mean? For example, there is a rating scale. There is descriptors for for pronunciation. It has to be pronunciation, stress, rhythm, and intonation, which are influenced by the first language or regional variation, but only sometimes interfering with ease of understanding. So I'll just show them to you right now, just to show you and give you an idea and share this. People who are interested, they can get in touch with me later. And let me quickly, just to wind it up. So all of this has been taken from the manual. One of the interesting things is there a language loss and language maintenance? Because it is known from experience and practical observation that language loss does happen among people and communities. Deterioration to some degree in the language proficiency of individuals who do not use their second or foreign language for a long time is a common experience. If you look at the pandemic, during the pandemic, many airports were shut. Only few flights, like compared to handling 1,000 flights in a day, suddenly cutting it down to, let's say, 5 or 10 emergency flights for a few months can kind of create some kind of a situation for people wherein English is a second language or a foreign language. In fact, I'm really looking forward to interacting with anybody who's listening to me with regards to maybe doing a particular research or a study with our countries, in our respective countries, where we could actually find out whether there was any little bit of such loss. Because what we are seeing right now is people who have been tested after, like this kind of a proficiency test which has taken place after, has found a few people going from a level scale 5 to a 4. This is a possibility that has taken place. And English language proficiency and the minimum period of re-evaluation. So if suppose somebody gets a 6 level, then they automatically, their description is that of an expert. They no longer require to be re-evaluated. If they get a 5, then this is known as an extended description, and they are accepted, but they will have to be tested every 6 years. Okay. And if they get a 4, as I mentioned to you, they have to be tested every 3 years. And as I already mentioned, anybody getting 3 or below, they require further training, and they cannot fly and they cannot be there at the towers. So feedback and evaluation of the training program. At the end of the training, testing and certification, a feedback of the training program is obtained from the trainees. And this is done to ensure that the training program has met its objective of creating sensitivity and acquainting the trainees with the 6 points of the COW rating scale. And just to quickly go to the objectives of today's sessions, I asked you, is there a link to think whether there's a language of the skies? And I believe all of you would agree there is. And the most important point is that, is there a role that we ELT professionals can play in the lives of air traffic controllers and aviators? Yes, there is. Anybody who's here, who's tested, ATCs, would know the challenges that they're facing in ESL situation in countries where English is a second language, like in India, and like a foreign language in Korea and Japan. They don't get an environment. They are not necessarily speaking English language at their homes. They are not speaking with their friends. So people who are coming from remote areas becoming engineers, because if you look at it in India, the people who become ATCs are people with an engineering background or with some kind of electronics background. And it's not necessary that they have always been proficient in the language. So why should we assume that only people who are proficient in English language can become an ATC or a pilot? And we as ELT professionals need to help them to reach and their objective of getting the required rating for flying in the sky or being at the towers. So these are my sources, and I would like to thank each and every one of you for giving me your patient hearing. And this is my email ID and my number. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor, for addressing this wonderful topic. And I think you've provided us with, for example, the patterns of communication used by pilots and air traffic controllers, and we can see the insightful results from your analysis, which can be used and applied. And also, we can see the example of your holistic descriptors and the elements we should consider when you test, learners who are in the field of aviation. And I think this would be very useful for teachers, especially those who are responsible for an ESP course relevant to the topic, right? Okay.
Yeah, Kitipat, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that I'm not the one who actually created all those descriptors, and it's from the manual. I'm just introducing it to all the ELT professionals out here, because many English language teachers, faculties, exactly like how you mentioned, they're not aware that the students that we are teaching in engineering colleges or students in schools who want to become engineers or want to become pilots, what exactly do they need? So that was the intent. Everything was taken from the manual, and also as you saw from YouTube. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much once again. And yeah, please feel free to post your questions on Mentimeter. And I believe that the speakers would love to share share ideas and answer your questions during the Q&A time. All right. And a quick reminder once again that each participant joining us today will get more information about simple steps to get a free certificate after the Q&A session. So please stay tuned and enjoy our webinar. All right. And yeah, we have come to our last speaker. Please allow me to introduce our last speaker, Mr. Kim Jin-ho, and he is a Korea country manager at British Council English School, and he has been a marketing professional in various industries with senior work experiences in KT Telecom in Korea and 3D Medivision. And Mr. Kim Jin-ho will be sharing with us on the topic of introducing a mobile English test with British Council English School. Please join me in welcoming him. Over to you, Mr. Kim.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm Jin-ho Kim from British Council English School. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present, and I'm very happy to be here. I'd like to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Again, thank you for inviting me for this webinar as one of the speakers today. My presentation topic is the mobile English test, the new normal. First of all, this is a brief about me. My name is Jin-ho Kim, and I'm a Korean country manager at British Council English School. And I have been a professional marketing specialist and also worked for educational content provider in Korea. And I'm very pleased to meet you. Okay, the topic of my presentation is the innovation of English assessment. In the competitive market of English test, can institution trust and adapt innovation in assessment? In this presentation, I'll talk through the breakthrough and innovation of testing English proficiency and English proficiency test delivered completely on a mobile phone. As the innovation continues to skyrocket in the world of edtech, remote learning and assessment continue to become more sophisticated. I also explain the features of English Score and how English Score uses technology to provide. I'll start by talking about today's challenges and problems on the English assessment practices. And then I'll talk about the innovative methods of English assessment as one of the effective solutions to issues will be presented. Lastly, we will see some key benefits from this newly introduced English assessment platform. Challenges. But how are the tests delivered? The world has changed a lot since COVID. And now let's discuss about the conventional model of English testing delivery pre-COVID. Whenever I meet English teaching professor in Korea, I'm really often told their struggles and hardships related to assess and mark their students' English proficiency. They are very inconvenient for professors to set up a system to manage all the students' English test results. Additionally, let's think about a student side of problems. Firstly, almost all the tests cost over $80 to $120 for every time they attend the test. Even if they afford to take the cost, it is impossible for them to attend the test whenever they want. Secondly, the test results do not deliver to the student quickly. Sometimes they have to wait a month. Lastly, there are some areas the test centers are actually too far, and the test taker really have to make a mind form to prepare to take the test. Let's think of how the COVID had changed the way of English assessment environment. The offline test centers has got locked down. Teachers and professors could not make students take their English test. Students didn't have opportunity to test out their English competency. The trend and the whole concept of conventional English test taking system has faced the needs of change from their customers. Also, online delivery comes with its own challenges. Nowadays, there are some online-based English tests rolled out. However, there are still various challenges faced, such as security and privacy issues, as well as the instability of the test program itself. We cannot take it for granted that all the students have the computers anytime they can use. Now, let's move on the solution part, which is relating to the actual main topic for the presentation. So we are presenting the mobile test for the solution. These are the reasons behind. Accessible. Around over 95% of Koreans own a mobile phone. Mobile phone is increasingly smarter, faster, and more accessible for all the people. Secondly, affordable. When there is no cost of invigilation plus administration involved, a digital delivery becomes more affordable. Lastly, less stressful. Test takers can choose their own secure, quiet environment to do the test, which can make the test less stressful. Additionally, with technology, we can ensure that the test is reliable and accurate. As for the security, we can use technology to deter people from cheating. For example, all phones have a front-facing camera that can be used to proctor all face tracking technology, identifying and maintaining no cheating involved. We British Council English Score is introducing English Score, providing the professors and teachers with the easy and convenient way of managing their students' English proficiency and their progress by testing on mobile phones, offering the students the more financially affordable, more easily accessible, and security plus privacy during the test. The English Score is the newly joined British Council's test portfolio. It is around 40 minutes long and $20 certificate test, which is more convenient and affordable comparing the 2-hour long and around $80 to $100 other tests. Giving you a little more about English Score, it is a newly global standard for English for employment, aligning to CFR, quickly becoming the most popular English test in the world. It is gaining market share of 2 million users per year, partnering with government organizations. The core skill test consists of 4 main skills: reading, listening, grammar, and vocabulary. The test results awards the test taker globally recognized British Council English test score as well as CFR rating together. Additionally, our speaking test for the mobile phone is going to be presented globally next month, April 2022. It is just like the core skill test, 40 minutes long with instant result thanks to the AI system. These are the application display which test takers see during the test. As you will experience if you take the test, it is easy to follow all the steps of the test respectively with each section. Especially you can see the right above face image. It's not a face image. This is the proctoring through the AI face tracking feature in the application. That's how we're maintaining the security. This is what the test takers see on the application. When finishing the test, the result is shown right away. English score is equivalent to existing global standards. The CFR, which is the Common European Framework of Reference, which is the global standard of assessment. English score is aligned to the CFR with each 100-point band corresponding to a CFR level. As you can see, these then align to some of the tests, TOEIC and the others, popular tests in South Korea. These are strict measures to protect the security of the test. The security for the mobile phone, the mobile phone security is so important. As you can see, there's no screenshots while recording allowed. There is a team of human reviewers. And also, there's a unique password protected certificate. This is showing how the AI face tracking prevent test takers from cheating. It will stop testing when it sends second face on the display, face not clearly visible. If the face looking to the side, it stops. If the stop lasts more than 2 minutes, the whole test is canceled. You can also check the availability of the results on our website by entering the result unique code. Okay, lastly, but most importantly, the professors and teachers can manage their student test results on the web browser-based dashboard, which is provided. The admin send the connect code to students, the test takers, and check their scores, also able to send their certificates through this dashboard. You can filter by all scores and CFR ratings. And also, you can filter all the scores of breakdowns. Basically, you can manage without the limitation of number of test takers within this dashboard. We also provide a CFR validity reports and security can-do reports. If anyone wants them, please leave your email address. Let me just briefly introduce you the easy and convenient way of joining our program for the higher education institutions. We are offering the approved partner program for 20 universities and colleges at each country to join us. If you are interested in the program, please leave us your email address. Why universities and colleges are choosing a British Council English score at the moment? Because it gives basically the opportunity for test takers to try the test for free with their own account. Basically, it's free. Globally respected multi-result British Council English score and CFR rating together, the test taker can get after the test. It only charge when they get the certification. And also chances to get co-branded on the certificates with the universities or institutions join the program. instant result and convenient managing dashboards. And lastly, it's very affordable price certificate. We have all the country managers around the regions, so you can reach out for further information to them. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and we are planning to offer all attendees some useful benefits. My colleague Sasi from Thailand will explain how to get them and leading after this presentation, leading the Q&A session for us. Sashi?
Yep, thank you, Jinho. Everybody hear me? Do you hear me, Jinho?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yes. For all participants today, we will give you a free certificate for all webinar attendees today. So just grab your mobile phones, download the application, and then do the test. And to get the free certificate, you also need to log into the website on the link below and the QR code, which I think that the host today, he will present the QR code and the link at the Q&A section. So then you just redeem your free voucher code, and then you will get the free certificate. But before that, grab your mobile phones and download the application and do the free practice and free test. And then for the university or college or school or the participant who attend today on behalf of your university or education institution, we also have a promotion for a dashboard free trial. So if you would like your university and ask your student to do the test, please leave the emails in the chat box or try to contact me or Jinho. Our emails address in the below of the bottom, and then we will give you the free access for the dashboard and free test taker to get the to take the test. Yep, and thank you so much today.
All right, thank you very much for your fruitful talk, Mr. Kim Jinho. About English assessment. And I think we are all aware that remote learning and assessment continue to become more sophisticated. And our speaker has shown you how English Score uses technology to provide a reliable and convenient English test. Yeah, and yeah, I think it's time for the Q&A session. Let's take the questions and allow the speakers to answer them. May I ask my colleague Lukman, one of the committee members, to help me read out the questions on Mentimeter or in the chat room? Can we start with the first interesting question we've got on Mentimeter, Lukman? Is Lukman here? Let's see. Okay. Okay, let me see the question on Mentimeter. Okay. The first question, I'm going to read it out exactly what I see on the Mentimeters. How can aviation language predict errors specifically on the basis of accent? I think this question should go to Dr. Sudesha. Yeah.
All right. So if I heard correctly, the question was, how can aviation English predict the various accents? That's what the question was, correct?
Yeah.
I believe that's what was said.
Yeah.
So I just want to answer that as far as aviation English is concerned, what I was talking about is the current aviation English language proficiency testing, the assessment that we're talking about. How is it taking place? So if someone does have a mother tongue influence and there is, it is there in the pronunciation. So how much of a degree can we accept? How much is it that we expect that the ATCs around the world will be able to understand? If an Indian pilot has a little bit of mother tongue influence, so will that scale be a 4 or a 5? So this is what is something that ICAO has already, kind of, what I showed you, the holistic markers and everything. This is what we were talking about. But yes, as you know, one of the reasons why I talked about this particular topic over here in this important webinar series, the first of its webinar series for this year, is because I want to interact with more people around Asia and around the world who might be listening to me, who are actually testing ATCs and pilots. Because I don't think there has been any study wherein ATCs testers have got together and worked. And maybe collaboratively, we would be able to help ICAO, or we would be able to help our government to kind of, focus on these things, especially being from countries where English is a second language or foreign language. And so this is what I would like to, how I would like to answer to this.
All right, thank you very much. Let me see.
I think I can pitch in now, actually. Yeah, sorry, something wrong with the microphone. Yeah. Hi everyone. So yeah, we've got quite interesting questions for Professor Dr. Yang-Shik Lee. So I'll just read one of those to Professor. So can the language testers reshape or reposition the exams in such a way that we would be culturally relevant to the test takers? For example, can Asians have different texts to read for IELTS? Professor Yang-Shik Lee, would you like to address that question? Is Professor still here? Sorry, I can't see that from my screen. Or if not, that's fine. So I'm not sure if Mr. Jin Ho Kim would like to answer that, whether the language testers can reshape or reposition the exams in such a way that they would be culturally relevant to the test takers. For example, can Asian students have different texts to read for their exam?
Yeah, please allow me to answer these questions. At the present, I don't think that there is any test taker assessment will allow you, but on behalf of the British Council English Score, we put all the context all around the world. So we are not specific, just only one country, but we apply the situation of all over the world on the context. So it means that the test taker also need to know the general topics of the world topics and everything, and then you can take the test. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. May, if it's possible, could I also just pitch in over here to this particular question regarding the IELTS? I was also, during one point in time, somebody who was into IELTS training and GMAT training. So I do have a little bit of knowledge regarding this, that as far as exactly like what Dr. Sasitharan just now said, that it's actually not allowed. We cannot change the current, whatever the test is there for IELTS. And the other important thing is that people assume that because it's to do with IELTS, it'll be British English or Canadian English or Australian English. But surprisingly, it's not necessarily that. I've actually had those listening tests where you can hear an American speaking, because sometimes the conversation can be between two people. One could be speaking in Nigerian English, one could be speaking in British English or American English. So any English is possible, yes, for a test. So there is nothing in particular that, and as she rightly mentioned, the language and culture are interrelated. So IELTS examination is wanting to test that the test takers are aware of what they're getting into. They are aware, like for example, if somebody from a remote place is not aware of a particular dish, a British dish, or let's say fish and chips, then they should be aware of it. So that is the role of the language and culture part, I believe. Thank you.
Okay, and then in association with your answer, Doctor, there is a question here as well. When we assess our students' proficiency, how can we avoid being biased?
I mean, that is something which is definitely every teacher should, that is your moral, that is your ethics. To say that, I mean, this is not something that somebody has to teach you, that you being a teacher should not be morally or ethically biased towards a particular person. So we have, see, for example, when I talked about ATCs and I talked about the language proficiency test, when my life is going to be in the hands of such a person, why would I want to pass somebody who is not qualified to be, flying a plane because they're not able to understand the English language? I would prefer them getting, grounded so that they could kind of work on their English language training part. And after a few months, then get back in the skies or be at the towers, because we are talking, passing people in IELTS, passing people in certain exams of English language, that might not affect you. But for people who are, in such important jobs, wherein somebody's life is in their hands and English language is playing a very important role, I think any examiner, any test taker should be very particular that you leave all kinds of biases aside. It's not only about passing somebody, it's also about failing somebody. You have to be very careful. We have to look at the final objective and the aim of the test, and that is to get the qualified people across. And that is my personal ethics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. One question for Mr. Jin Ho. Is the English score test as accurate as the IELTS test, considering that the former doesn't assess the writing and speaking skills of test takers?
Yeah, well, please allow me to answer this question. I'm Sasi, country manager for British Council English Score in Thailand. To take the test with the British Council English Score, our certificate and the system of the test is aligned to the CEFR level and aligned to the IELTS, but you cannot use our certificate instead of IELTS. You have to check the final destinations. For example, if you would like to apply for the university, you have to check with the university if they acceptable for English score test. But as Jin Ho mentioned earlier, that the British Council English score test, our certificate is aims to the business English. So it might be suitable for you to use that certificate to apply for the job. And we are quite different from the academic test. So need to check with your final destination and try to make sure that what is the purpose of you when you need to use that certificate. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more question to go, actually. Is the English score, in the English score, how many times are we allowed to take the test?
Yeah, actually there are no limit for you to take the test, but we have a condition that during the 24th hour, you can do the test only twice. If you need to take the third time or fourth time, you have to pass for the first 24th hour. And when you finish to take the test, all the scores will appear on your application. And to redeem the certificate, you can select the best score and then apply the voucher code. That's the question. That's the answer. Thank you.
And additionally, saying that the test taker can take the test for free 10 times for a month. And we allow test taker to write a test 2 times for a day.
Yes, exactly. So within a month, no more than 10 times for you guys to take the test.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Such a very useful test for the those who want to improve their English. Okay, so I've got a quite general question here to our presenters. Here I've got, how do I prepare for a language assessment test? Any one of you like to address this general but important question, for those who want to take a test?
Okay, Sasitharan and Jinho, would you mind if I just began it and then maybe you guys could take over? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing we all need to understand that every test is different. Just saying it's English language test is not enough, because just now, like how British Council Sasitharan just now mentioned, that English score is different from the IELTS, and the IELTS is different from GMAT and various other tests. And when we're looking for, there might be people over here who are not linguists or not ELT professionals. So I would like to kind of, give a couple of terms. When we're talking about English for specific purposes, that it's ESP. So within that, let's say a physiotherapist who goes to United States, and there they would have to, again, they would have to pick up the ESP of physiotherapy out there. Why? Because the pronunciation, the words which are being used in Thailand or in Korea or in India, vis-a-vis out there in US, could be completely different. So there they would have a different kind of a test, different kind of assessment, different kind of a training taking place. So depending on your needs, depending on what you are wanting. Now, when you look at the English language or any language in the world, you have listening, speaking, reading, writing, correct? So listening and reading are inputs, and speaking and writing are outputs. Now, if you look at something like aviation and ATCs and pilots, they are not requiring reading and writing to be tested as far as the AELP test is concerned. They are focusing more on the listening and the speaking part. Yes, English reading and writing is imperative, it's important, but that is not what they're looking at in that particular test. So depending, maybe you being an English, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of who the person who's asking the question. I'm assuming they're an English language teacher or a faculty in a university, and their needs for a student would be covering all the language skills, that is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So when you're looking at that, for me personally, when I'm teaching engineers, I'm teaching both engineers and also the people from humanities and arts in my university. So I cover all of them, and I follow the IELTS pattern, wherein I kind of read out a paragraph, or I play something, and then I ask them the questions. It could be objective, it could be subjective, and then you focus on the reading part. You give them a comprehension, you let them comprehend and answer the questions. Then you do the, the grammar part is obviously important, and then you have the speaking part, the writing and the speaking. And how I do the speaking part is something interesting that I've recently started. I mean, I was having presentations which I was doing anyway before the pandemic, and even during the pandemic, during the online one. I would record them over Zoom, and they would, just like how we are having right now, we are presenting. We need our students, because if in the future we are going to have the scenario again, and now with everybody becoming comfortable with the online world, everybody is now wanting to present online. It could be an interview, it could be a conference or webinar, just like this. So we as teachers need to make our students now not only comfortable in presenting face to face, like on site, but also online. So because there are differences, there are certain requirements required. You should know how to, mute yourself, unmute yourself, the lighting, when the box opens up, you're a co-host or a host. So when you're not aware of these basic things, it can be a problem for you. So even these are part of assessments now. I have incorporated 15 minutes of assembly time, wherein I allow 6 students to present the assembly every time. This is something we used to have in school, not in university. But this is very important, because when they do it in the university mode, a lot of people who have never had the experience of presenting get an opportunity to do that. They might say a joke, they might say the thought of the day, the word of the day, they might say something with like a poem or a quiz, and it gets their effective communication skills also in play. So I think when you're assessing, what exactly are you assessing is the question, and then accordingly your questions will follow. All right, I'm sorry, I gave pretty long answers. Sasitharan and Zino can take over now. Thank you.
Yeah, very short advice from me. If you would like to prepare for the assessment, put yourself in the real situation. Even you would like to test for academic, for business English or anything, put yourself in this real situation. Go in front of your class, speak English, listening a lot of English on YouTube, and reading a lot of newspapers and articles in English, and then try to writing and ask your teacher to help you. Yeah, that's everything from my part.
Thank you very much. And then we've got the last question actually for Professor Yang Shik Lee. Wonder if you could actually answer this. Do any of your considerations relate to the future trends in assessment?
Training what? Sorry, I can hear you.
Do any of your considerations relate to the future trends in assessment?
Future trends.
Yes, future trends in assessment.
I see. I think maybe because the human scoring costs, logistically much more money, and so And with the AI developing rapidly, so I think for future trend assessment for speaking ability, English speaking ability, I think machine conduct and machine scoring is getting more and more popular, I think. Yeah. That's what I think. For example, CET is going to use the machine scoring, yeah, using AI. Yeah.
All right. So using the AI technology could be the future trends in assessment. Thank you very much indeed. So thank you very much.
But in terms of the construct validity, we should more focus on the human scoring and the human conduct. Yeah, that's more, yeah. Still, I think valid. Sometimes we have to have the skepticism about using machine, yeah, using computer. Yeah. Okay.
Lovely. Thanks very much indeed, Professor. Right. So because of time, we're trying to, pick all of the questions actually, but we can't. I'm so sorry about that. So then, yeah, I'll give the floor to Kitty Shai, please, to Kittipat for the rest of the presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, Lukman. And yeah, all right, due to the time limitation, I'm sorry that we have to end the Q&A session. And on behalf of AsiaTEFL organization, I would like to express my gratitude to all speakers of this webinar today for their time, great presentation, and fruitful discussions regarding the topic innovations in English language testing and assessment. And of course, thanks to our wonderful participants who actively engage with this webinar with lots of questions and interactions, and especially in the Zoom chat box. And just a quick reminder that our webinar isn't finished yet. I would like to inform you about the AsiaTEFL annual international conference, the second webinar, and the certificate. Regarding the certificate, please scan the QR code to access the link to a landing page where you are encouraged to do a few steps to receive your certificate. And yeah, maybe if Mr. Kim Jin Ho and Ms. Sasiton would love to give more information about it again, about the steps, how to do it, you may take the floor to do this in a few minutes. Yeah.
Kittipat, before I just want to request, if it's possible, can we take a group screenshot of all the members out here? We could request everyone to switch on the cameras. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so let's do that, because there are people, I guess, from different time zones. All right, everybody. Kittipat, do you mind if I just kind of take the screenshots?
Sure.
Yes. All right. So everyone, please switch on your camera. You've got 5 seconds. Switch on your cameras. Yes, I can see people straightening their collars. People are, getting their cameras on. Fiona, Sarah, look straight. Here we go. Yes, that's a wave. Good. Dr. Ramani, Vita, all the people with their cameras off. You have 5 seconds. We have 13 screens. We have more than 300 people who are right now watching us. All right, here we go. So I'll begin with the first screen. I don't know who's in which screen, and I'm clicking the pics. So smile. I'll be saying it 1, 2, 3, 3 times, or 13 times. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Life is all about smiling. We've survived the pandemic. We should be grateful to God for that. So keep smiling. Tanvir Sikon, please look straight. Here we go. Smile. Yes. Keep holding on. That smile. In fact, Kittipat, can you say 1, 2, 3 in Thai language, please?
Yeah, okay. 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. So I know how to say 1, 2, 3 in Arabic, so I'll say it in Arabic now. Wahad itnen talata. Smile. Okay. All right. And maybe somebody could say it in Korean also.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Right. Good. Any other language? Oh, my Hindi. 1, 2, 3. Muskuraiye. Smile. Yes. Come on, Asia. You can smile. Okay. And I have another language, which is my mother tongue, endangered language. Tiga Nishe Sim. Smile. Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. There are a few more slides, but there the people, oh, okay, people are still switching on cameras. Good, I am clicking them. Here we go. I'm on the 9th screen. I don't know where you are. I'll be sharing them with the organizers. I'm on the 10th screen now. Good. And I would also like to take this opportunity to thank Professor Masaki Oda, who is joining us from Japan. And I know Ich-ni-san, that is in Japanese, I believe, for 1, 2, 3. And the last screen, here we go. That's it. Thank you so much. Gamsahayo, kakun, dhanyavad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. Okay, so yeah, as you can see on the screen, you can see the QR code for you to access the link to the landing page to get our free certificate. Yeah.
Yep. Please allow me to explain to every participant. Would that
Yeah,
possible?
sure.
Yeah, just only 1 minute. For everybody who would like to get the free certificate of British Council English Score, please scan the QR code to the landing page. Put your name, first name, last name, working emails, your job titles, and then you will get the voucher code on your emails. And then after you get the voucher code, when you finish to take the test on the applications, just put the voucher code to redeem the free certificates. Otherwise, you have to pay $20 for that. So please get that voucher code first. And for the university, college, school, or any education institution that would like to use the dashboard, we will give you a free dashboard for 100 test taker. So 1 university, 1 dashboard. If you would like to redeem that, please email me or Jin Ho. I believe that my email, Jin Ho's have already put our emails on the chat box. And after this conversation, I will ask our host today to send out our emails. Yeah, and then you can get the email, and then you can ask for the free dashboard then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, while we are waiting for you to scan the QR code and do there's a few steps to get the certificate. Let me introduce you briefly to what happens next in the 20th AsiaTEFL International Conference 2022 in Indonesia. The conference will be in a hybrid form, and it will be held from the 5th to the 7th of August 2022. And the conference theme is Hindsight, Insight, and Foresight in ELT in Multilingual Asia. And also, I would like to let you know that our next webinar will be held on the 20th of May. And we will let you know again about who the speakers are and other details relevant to it. So please visit our website or our Facebook page, AsiaTEFL Association, for more updated details. And yeah, okay, before we end this webinar, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our AsiaTEFL Professional Network Committee members who work behind this webinar series project. And our team is headed by our Vice President, Associate Professor Dr. Prakasit Siddhitikul. So yeah, there are 17 committee members from Malaysia and Thailand who have worked together to ensure the webinar series this year is conducted successfully. Okay. So yeah, if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask in the chat box. Okay, you can do the certificate process later. I think you still have time even we end this webinar. Okay, and yeah, this is now the end of the session today. On behalf of AsiaTEFL Professional Network Committee, we would like to thank everyone once again for your participation, and I hope to see you in the next webinar in May. And I believe that we have gained and exchanged a lot today, and it is a great way to keep our professional development continuing in our supporting community in Asia and globally. In the meantime, stay safe and take care. Bye for now, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.